Hi, and welcome to the She Rose Revolutionaries podcast. I'm your host, Tara Preston, new paradigm feminine leadership mentor and Akashic teacher. This is a spirited podcast for women who are ready to flourish in a new paradigm of feminine freedom and prosperity, for women who are ready to live beyond the box of society in the fullness of the woman that they were born to be. Join in for bi-weekly soul-stirring conversations with feminine leaders from around the world who have rooted in their sacred path and continue to trailblaze. All right. Welcome to the She Rose Revolutionary podcast. I have a very special guest today, Radhaa Nilia, who is the publisher of, I think it's Radhaa Publishing Company. And she's going to tell us a little bit more about who she is and what she's up to in the world. And I'm super excited to dive in today just around her adventures with publishing and also these magical book creations that she's been birthing into the world the last few years. And kind of moving forward, she's up to some really cool things. Diving into that and talking about what it means to be a creative visionary, as well as sometimes the obstacles that we can face as creative visionaries and how we can move through those. But before we talk about that, I'm going to hand it over to Radhaa and just let her introduce herself. Go ahead, Radhaa.
Hello, Tara. Thank you so much for having me on today.
Yeah.
I'm very excited to share. We have a lot going on at Radhaa Publishing House, and I'm the founder of Radhaa Publishing House, and we curate collaborative book series that are based on metaphysical healing, just really things that can be of service in this time, in this world. I felt the need to step forward and to bring people's voices together into these books so that we could bring forward a feeling of like camaraderie, collaboration, creativity, but also ultimately healing and a deeper understanding and acceptance for ourselves and each other.
Oh, beautiful. I love that. And this isn't something that you're new to either. Like I know you've published one of your own books, maybe two of your own books in the past as well. Is that? Yeah, go
Yes,
ahead.
that's correct. Memoirs of a Galactic Goddess and Kuan Yin Goddess Activations.
Oh, amazing, amazing. So where did the vision for these book collaborations like come from, or when did it come through? And can you just speak a little bit about how the seed of that arrived?
Absolutely. Well, prior to this, I had been working in LA. I started as a model, but I had been going to school at UCLA for the producers program. My dream was really to get into producing and to bring forward projects that would bring healing to the world. And so I started to work at Sunset Gower Studios and was very successful there, became a producer, and was doing all of these projects. But the times that we're living in are very controversial because there's a deeper understanding that there's a lot going on more than meets the eye. And it wasn't in alignment with me. I didn't feel comfortable with where it was going, and so I stepped away from that, and I completely stepped away. And at the same time, I was starting to get into the healing work and working with a goddess and just having my own relationship with her. And in that, I had this moment with her where she came to me, the goddess, and I kind of was like a dark night of the soul. And pretty much the message I got was get rid of everything, get rid of everything. And here I was, living in Hollywood and collecting clothes and shoes and everything. I loved it. I love to dress up. It's so much fun. And I love that lifestyle, but I had been told to get rid of it all and move to the Appalachians. And I really had to go through a huge ego death of who I thought I was and where I thought I was going. and I made a different choice, and I followed the voice of my soul and the voice of the goddess. And so
Mm.
it led me here to the top of the Appalachian Mountains.
Wow.
And so as I was, connecting more and more and doing more work with her and the goddess, I
Mhm.
was getting more information. It's like this portal of information started to come in. I really tapped into Goddess Saraswati. Are you familiar with
Mm.
her?
Yes, yep.
She's definitely like an ongoing mentor that I work with.
Amazing.
And she just downloaded me like, you need to do this book. And I felt this like download. It really felt like a download to do the Awakening Star Seeds book. And I'm like, well, I've never done anything like that. And I have a background in producing, and then that is working with a lot of different people, but this is kind of like producing books. It's a
Mhm.
different kind of a production. And so I was like, okay. And I just jumped 2 feet in. I
Mhm.
didn't, I don't question much when I get downloads because I know that there's a reason for them.
Mhm.
And that seed grew. And then we did Awakening Star Seeds 1. And it was an exciting ride. It was a rocky ride. I learned so much. There was a lot of
Mhm.
breakdowns and breakthroughs. And but then we took the book, we took the books to different places, and we had book events. And we were surprised. Like we went to a 3-day event, and our books sold within the first day. All of them sold, and we were like, oh no, we don't have any more books. We have this table, but what are we gonna do now?
Wow.
And we were like, the people want this, they want it. And they were relating to us in a way where they were like, wow, I have a story and I want to share. And I just got the message, like, literally, you're going to do 11 books of the Awakening Starseed series. And I was like, what? And then,
Amazing. And you're really already on to book number 3, I think, right?
yes, exactly. We're on to book number 3.
That's incredible. And I have to say, I was a part of the first Awakening Starseeds. Well, the second one, actually. I was there in
Yes.
the kind of the original creation when it was started to come together. And I
Yeah.
dove in because I know you and I know how strong of a visionary you are. And I wanted to be a part of it. And it was amazing. It was an amazing process. It's been amazing to be a part of the Awakening Starseeds volume number 2. And I'm excited to see that there's already a third volume. And it's just so beautiful to collaborate like that, to witness other people's stories.
Yes.
Yeah. And I found it just a really kind of like activating process to be a part of. So
Mm.
yeah, yeah, really amazing. And just to see, I think for the Awakening Star Seeds too, it was really just so fascinating to see the awakening journeys of like people who are doing such amazing work in the world, and
Yeah.
how oftentimes I could connect to some of like the harder parts of their stories in times where I probably felt really alone,
Mm.
right? And just seeing someone else's story and realizing that I actually like I wasn't alone. Like that's like,
Exactly.
yeah.
That's so
Hmm.
important right now. And I think, and that's really what I want to bring forward more than anything to anyone listening, is that you are not alone, and that, this journey has been really intense and tough on everybody in different ways, but also beautiful and magical. There's two sides of the
Yes.
coin.
Yes.
And it's really important. Part of what I really believe in is that when we speak from our vulnerable truth,
Hmm.
that we are heard the most and we
Hmm.
be understood. And it's hard because in our society, it's like be happy, be perfect. And there's
Hmm.
this like prototype of positive vibes that we do put out positive vibes in our book ultimately, but we want to get
Totally.
into the
Hmm.
parts that are where people feel like, am I the only one going through this? Like, am
Mhm,
I
mhm,
am I going crazy? Or what's going on? Am I going to be okay? And yes, you're going
mhm,
to be okay. You got to tune in to the deeper aspects of yourself. And that's really what this invitation is all about.
mhm. Yeah, it's so true. And again, that's like where the healing, even for like the writer, like just to be a part of a collaboration, it's it's so activating and so healing in and of itself for the contributor, not just like for the reader.
Yes.
And yeah, and just yeah, just that beautiful kind of like synergistic like magic that happens from all of it. Absolutely. I love how you speak about truth too, and just like the raw, like you're so right. And I even know, like, even from just different emails or blog posts or whatever, it's always when I don't want to hit post, like,
Yeah.
like when it's like so raw and so real, and I don't want to, I don't want to post it because it feels vulnerable, and yet it always almost has the most impact.
Mm.
And there's just something about that, like, raw, like, just being raw in our truth. And I'm curious too on like how you help your contributors like uncover that for themselves, and maybe it's organic just by being part of the process, but is there any like ways that you support your contributors to deepen into that?
Absolutely. Well, for volume one, we were doing like clearing calls. We were doing,
Oh.
yeah, I'm not sure if you hopped on any, but we were just like, I know that you're already a great writer, so, but a
Mhm,
lot of them were having coming up against some blocks, and people would come in,
mhm,
well, I'm not a writer. And I'm like, just speak your truth, because that's writing. That to
mhm,
me, like, your truth is important. You don't have to glamorize it. You
mhm.
know, I don't believe in over glamorizing it, because the
Yeah.
process is messy, and it's beautiful, and the unfolding, it's like, let us metamorphosize
Mhm,
into who we are becoming, because I feel as this human race, like, we are sort
mhm,
of in that process of becoming, and it's not pretty, it's not comfortable.
mhm,
Like, we have to give up and die to the old parts of ourselves so that we can
mhm.
step into the new. And so a lot of the
Yes.
people that came in, the authors, they had persecution wounds. That's one theme
Yes.
I have seen over and over. And so I was like, wait a minute, I'm seeing this theme here. And it's
Mhm,
no coincidence that I spent like 6 years of my life, really working through my own persecution wounds. And I had
mhm,
discovered through many, regressions and healings, that I had been persecuted in many lifetimes for using my voice, to the point that
mhm.
I was very afraid. You wouldn't believe it, but there was that fear of coming, quote unquote, out of the closet. And
Oh,
so,
for sure. I think it's for, well, for women. I'm work primarily with women. I think it's for all humans, but primarily with women, it's like to speak our truth is definitely one of the deepest wounds that we can carry. Like, it's so vulnerable, and there's often so many layers around what it means to drop into our truth, and yet our truths are so needed at this time.
yes,
And if
yes.
yeah, and if there's like that willingness to like look at those layers and drop into the power of our truth, there's so much beauty, and again, so much power to be had there. But that wound of persecution is very real. As you said that, like, I think of even just, my work with the Akashic records. I know you do past life work, but it's not something that we can always like logically put our finger on, like why we're so afraid. Like, we feel it in our bones, kind of a fear
Mm,
to like speak our truth, and it's true. So those blocks and those that wound and those layers can definitely exist, and are there for a very good reason. And I
mm,
love that you address that, and that you weave in some of these like layers through like block clearing, and especially somebody who, and we've known each other for like a long time now on this
mm.
journey. And I know, you've done some incredible and very deep work around what it means to be visible in your power as a woman, and in your truth. Um, so, I mean, it's beautiful that you're holding this space, and leading from this place with your vision. It's really powerful, and
Thank
no
you.
no better person, really. Yeah, absolutely.
I really enjoy it. I love working with our authors, and
Yeah.
we become soul family, and we support each other in different ways, and it's not just like a one and done relationship. It's like, no, we build these relationships, I think
Yes.
are meant to last. And I think that everyone in the book is like a soul family. That's how
Yes.
I feel about it. I
Yeah.
wouldn't feel motivated to work so hard really if I didn't feel that way, because it is a lot of work. It's just like producing films. There's a lot of moving pieces, a
Yeah.
lot of different people involved. Um, we were talking earlier, and we've really upgraded our team and up
Yeah.
leveled in a lot of ways, and
Yeah.
um, working with new members that are making things go smoothly. And all we ask is that you just show up and that
Yeah.
you just hand over the work. That's the most important thing.
Yes. Yes. Absolutely. Yeah.
Hand
Fair
over the
enough.
work. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I know that. Yeah. Handing over the work. And by that, do you mean like, like just, showing up and sharing your story and like not getting too caught up in like perfectionism and just
Yeah,
allowing yourself to be a part of the process and to be seen and witnessed and supported in that contribution of like the writing of your story.
exactly. What I would say to anyone who's like, well, should I join, or can I do this? And how do I show up? I'd say, well, be generous. Be very generous with yourself first. Be generous and write, and even write more than you think. And then go through it. And then, even have like a friend read it out loud, because it always helps to read it out loud. Then it
Hmm.
makes so much more sense. And then you're going to feel confident if you really get to it, and then you start to share it with your family or friends, or somebody you trust, somebody that you
Mhm.
can trust with your vulnerability, and
Mhm.
who's not going to be a critique, but you could just reflect off of. And then that way you can sort of rework it a little bit. Then you send it to us, and then we do some creative feedback, and we do that before we send it to the editor, because when we send it to the editor, he wants everything at once. We can't have some pieces missing or chapters missing.
Mhm.
It's very much, he's very professional. So part of us
Mhm.
up leveling is like, okay, we have deadlines. We have to get it done. It's
Mhm.
not non-negotiable, because we pay him to basically
Mhm.
have a certain amount of his time that he
Mhm.
reserves for us.
Yeah.
So there's a whole process, and we
Good.
have to let people understand that you need to show up. And it's better to always bring it forward and be like, even if it's not perfect, and be like, what do you think of this? And I'm happy to give feedback. Like, I always tell our authors, like, I'm available. Just send me what you have, and we could do a quick Zoom. I'm very accessible to our
Mm.
authors. And that's something that a lot of people have come here, after going to bigger places, bigger publishing houses, where they had no connection and no sort of availability to just be like, hey, what do you think about this? It was very hard and restricted. And so
Mhm.
we have both the feminine and masculine
Oh
energy.
yeah, totally. I was gonna say that, but you need that little bit of structure, not even a little bit, like a nice solid container through like timelines and deadlines and like, meeting some like standards. And that's the tight masculine container that holds the
Yeah.
birthing process and lets everyone feel safe to
Yes.
drop in. So yeah, no, I'm totally with you there. I have to say too, as you were talking, I was just kind of feeling into, I think I've been a part of three book collaborations in probably the last like 6 years. And I loved being a part of Awakening Starseeds with you. But just how being a part of that process too. And, I submitted my contribution through Awakening Starseeds. I still had someone read it over and give me feedback, like it just to be a part of the creative process and to share my truth. But something beautiful that always happens is that like I grow in my ability to be visible with my truth. Like it's
Mhm.
really like, helped to just to be supported in that way. It's helped like in terms of just being able to like open up even for like podcast interviews, like to make myself like available. Like I actually started to get excited to share more and more of my story and
Yeah.
more of my truth, right? Because being a part of these collaborations like gave me the confidence.
Mhm. Yes.
Yeah.
What we see a lot is this beautiful transformation, and a lot of people who have so many gifts to offer the world, and all of a sudden, boom, they're the butterfly. And I've
Yes.
seen like where they were very kind of shy at first, and afterwards they're like doing group healings, and they're, or whatever they're offering,
Yes.
at a
Yeah.
level, love, layer of themselves. And so I always say, it's not just writing a chapter. It's not. This is a whole transformational process. And if you commit and complete it and go through the whole process, you will come out and even more elevated than you are now.
Absolutely. And I think that speaks to like our voices are so needed. Like
Mhm.
don't underestimate the power of your voice and your gifts. Like wherever you feel like you're at in the scope of your journey, your medicine and your voice is needed. And so if you're feeling that sense of like I just want to share like in a bigger way, opportunities like this are for anyone really, like if you're feeling called to share. So and there's
Mhm.
just so much growth in the process. So really, really beautiful. Um, I wanted to touch a little bit just on like just you as like a creative visionary. Um, I think that our power as women to create and vision and to lead is enormous, and that we all have the capacity to create from that space. And you're such a beautiful example of being the visionary and holding space for the vision. And I just wanted to kind of talk a little bit about what the visioning or creative process maybe means to you, and just where sometimes you feel flow with it, but maybe sometimes where you feel a little bit stuck with it, and how
Mhm.
you've like moved through it.
Yeah, thank you. It's I really enjoy the creative process, and when the visions do come to me, they're very strong. They're not subtle,
Mhm.
you know.
Yes,
They're
yeah.
just like boom in my, download and into
Yeah.
my mind, and I'm like, wait a minute, okay, I have to do this. So then I have to go and think about it, meditate about it, dream about it, feel into it, feel how this is going to
Mhm.
actually, I actually feel the people who are going to read it. I'm feeling into the audience.
Love it.
It's a lot of, it's a deep process, of, it's kind of like the underworld, going into the dark womb space. And that's
Yeah.
what I think the feminine can do, is we can really go into those spaces, and in that we can dream, because there's possibility. And so I just feel it, and then I sit with it for maybe a few weeks, and I sort of go, okay, this is still beating really strong in my heart.
Mhm.
I have to birth this. This is my
Mhm.
baby, but it's
Yeah.
not just mine. I'm going to give this to the people who are meant to be part of this. And then I sort of do meditation, and I go up and call in the souls, like the souls that are aligned to this project, like energy healing and soul medicine. I'm calling you in, and I know that you are meant to be in this book, and I know
Mhm.
what the vision is for it. The vision is that this is going to be a healer's directory, but it's going to be a book, and it's going to help many people. And I'm seeing it being held in hands of people and families, and they're going through the book because they're looking for new ways of healing. And they're going to find
Mhm.
exactly who they need to find. And these are the
Amazing.
people that I called forward before. And
Yeah.
then I put the call out in the physical world, and I let people know, and I reach out to people that I feel might be aligned, and say, hey, I'm doing this. Are you interested?
Mhm.
Um, and there's never like an attachment to who joins. It's just like, I know that the souls who are meant to be in the book will show up. That's how I feel about it. Like it's part of like almost like a soul contract, but
Yes.
a part of a divine
Mhm.
soul contract. So I'm just calling it in, and maybe you guys forgot, but
Mhm.
here it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
And I'm the bridge. I'm the bridge. I'm bridging the
Yeah.
healers, and I'm bridging the readers. And this is going to be
Amazing.
part of my vision, is to bring healing to the world in any way possible.
Mhm.
And I really believe in healers. I believe healers can save the world. And so I'm calling in all the healers that are meant to be in this book. And I know that there's a bigger purpose. It's like my projects, I have to feel in my heart and soul, like, is there a bigger purpose for this? Because
Mhm.
it's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. And
Mhm.
so if I'm going to dedicate, 6 months of my life grinding it out,
Mhm.
okay,
Yeah.
I better make sure that this is really on a soul level, like this
Yeah.
is going to be part of my, like, is this in my, basically my Akashic records that I'm supposed to do, you know what I mean?
Yes, totally. Yes. Is this in alignment? Is this well? And I like the part too of like feeling into it, dreaming into it, being in the void. That's such an important piece and part of the creative process. But also kind of like letting the energy stir and swirl and marinate and and just making sure that it's like it's building and it's there and it's present and it's in your heart and it's in your soul. I think
Yes.
that's like the secret to like alignment. It's like it's really present there for us. And I always say too, when there's a vision that comes through like that, whether it's like a program or a book or whatever it is, it's like there's a reason for that. Like there's a reason for that. There are people that this will speak to. And also that, we're never doing this like all on our own, especially with a vision that big. Do you feel that way too?
Oh, I feel like I have a team. Feel like I have a
Yeah.
soul team, and this team is the one sort of guiding me. And I work with the goddesses and the goddess energy and the archetypes, and
Mhm.
that I feel the goddesses really guide me. And I, of course, I work with creator, source of all that is, and
Mhm.
that's the ultimate. And everything I do, I ask to be guided. I'm certainly not perfect, and I make a lot of mistakes, and I learn a lot along the
Mhm.
way, and I have no problem saying that, because that's how we learn. We have to make
Mhm.
mistakes, we
Absolutely.
have to fall on our butt. The first
Mhm.
awakening star seeds it was a grind. We had so much
Mhm.
like energy interference, almost. It was wild.
Mhm. I remember that.
Gave up. Like during that time, my dog died.
Mm, I
Mike's dog
remember.
died, and
Aw.
every time we uploaded it, like the words would scramble. I was like, this can't be real. Like this cannot be
Right.
reality. Like I
Yeah.
just can't fathom. So we'd go back and redo the format. They must have done it over 10 times, and there were
Wow.
many tears that were shed, like really, really big tears
Mhm.
falling, and just like,
Yep.
oh,
Mhm.
and and the universe is like, okay, well, are you going to keep going? And I was like, I'm just going to give up. And then I'm like, no, I'm not going to give up, because I said to the universe I was going to do 11. I'm going to do 11. I don't care what it takes.
Yeah. Oh my gosh. I know. I
And
know this.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Exactly. And then my dear friend and partner at the time for the books, he
Yeah.
got into a terrible car accident, and he was a big part of this. And so
Yeah.
I had to get a whole new team and onboarding. It was just like,
Mhm.
wow, this is huge. And then the expenses went up, and everything changed.
Mhm.
And I had to be like, okay, am I still going to go forward? Like,
Mhm.
and of course I am, because when I make a commitment,
Mhm.
I don't quit. I can't. It's part of,
Mhm.
I have this like drive inside me,
Mhm.
and it's this inner toughness, and I don't know
Mhm.
where it came from, but it's
Mhm.
sort of what I used when I was making films, because a lot of things would go wrong,
Mhm.
and actors would get sick or locations would drop, and you just better find something right away. You can't just quit. You don't just stop.
Mhm.
You have to get up
Yeah.
again and brush yourself off and go, hurry up and find the next location or the next actor or whatever it is. And so I'm grateful, because Hollywood did give me that toughness, I guess.
Totally. Yes. And I think you have to have that kind of grit sometimes with our vision. And I've read, watching different movies on different visionaries, like even, oh my gosh, I can't remember who produced Star Wars, but if you look at his story on what didn't work during that process, but he had a vision and he stuck to that vision and he saw the vision even when others didn't see the vision.
Yeah.
And and that's kind of like the gift of the visionary. And that's just the gift of anyone, any woman who has a creative vision in her heart, is that it's our vision, it's our sight. So oftentimes others won't see it. And if we're lucky, we do gather a community around us that does see it.
Yes. And I
But
think
there
this,
can be setbacks and challenges, and it's our job to stay committed and stay in it. And that's actually where we really develop the capacity to ground it. Go ahead.
mhm,
What were you going to say?
grounding is so important. Yeah, I was just saying that I'm just so glad that I got up again and brushed off,
Yes.
because I really feel like many of us came in here for a reason at this time. Look at
Yes.
what's going on in the world. Do you think it's a
Yeah.
coincidence that you're here? I don't
Right.
think so. I think you're here for a reason.
Yeah.
And part of what that is for me is like being a bridge to help people's voices come forward that maybe didn't have a platform, or maybe wanted to up level,
Yep.
or maybe wanted to share their healing gifts. And
Yeah.
I really want to bring healing into the mainstream in a bigger way. Um,
Hmm. Yeah.
I've been a healer for many years, and I love healers, and I'm an
You
advocate
come
for
from,
healers.
yes, and you come from a lineage of healers. Like your mom is a very beautiful, powerful healer as well, right?
Yeah, she's a shaman, Maya the shaman, and she does
Yeah.
Lemurian code healing. Hmm.
Yeah. Yeah, that's amazing. Yeah. Well, tell us a little bit about the few books. I know there's three right now, right? That you've opened up applications for. Do you want to just share a little bit about the names, and then also where our listeners can learn more about you or connect with you?
Absolutely. So the first book that we have on the table, we have three actually, but the first one up
Yeah.
is Energy Healing and Soul Medicine. And that one just dropped into my lap. We were going to go, okay, so what's next? We're going to do Awakening Starseeds Volume 3. But there was this sort of nudge, from the universe, like, nope,
Yeah.
you got to do this. And then I was like, okay, I wasn't planning on doing it. So I had to find an artist. And if you look at the book cover, basically it's a tree, and it has
Right.
roots,
Yeah.
and it has these beautiful faces. And in the branches is the world. And it is really exquisite. And it was hand painted by a woman in Tennessee. So
Hmm.
I found the art, and then I reached out to her, and we had a great conversation, and I bought the art from her. And then I put a call out, and we still have about 5 spots left. So
Amazing. Aw.
that book is about energy healers, people who do all kinds of healing modalities, and what I'm really interested in right now is also like a death doula, because what's going on
Oh,
in the world
yes.
is, we're talking about death so much and all this fear, and I want to
Yeah.
talk about the process and how a death doula can help, and also the beauty. There's something beautiful about also acknowledging death as part of life,
Yeah. A
and
part of the
so
life cycle. Yeah.
exactly. So
Yeah.
we should just shun that, but also all these incredible healers are in the book that are going to help you have a better life while you're alive. Like, let's
Yes.
amplify the joy, let's amplify your health, let's amplify your belief system, let's raise the vibration. While you're here, let's make it the very best. Okay.
Yes, yes, absolutely. I love that. Yeah, I love your vision for that book. Yes. And the other two, so I know there's Awakening
Oh,
Star
yes.
Seeds Volume 3.
That's right. Awakening Starseeds Volume 3, Dreaming into the Future. So this is where I'm
Ooh,
calling on the visionaries, because I want
right.
visionaries to come forward. Like, I know there are brilliant people out there, and there are even from oracles to scientists. You know what I mean? I want
Yes.
people to come forward and share. They're innovators. I have seen, like, on YouTube, young innovators that are putting forward things
Mm,
that are helping clean our water. And
yes.
there are so many ways that I believe the world is going to change. I feel like we're
Yeah.
going through the darkest night of our collective soul.
Yep.
And
Hmm.
I really feel there is a light at the end of the tunnel. And I believe we're going to move into the golden age. And I want to hear about the visions. I want to hear about how we're going to work together. I want to hear about how we're going to do business, how
Yeah.
we're going to do relationships, how are we going to do life, how are we going to eat, how are we going to, like, live, what kind of houses are we going to live in, you know what I mean? So the
Yeah.
future, like, in that way, like, for me, I've been really fascinated with earthships. Like, I'm obsessed with earthships. Have
Yep.
you seen them before?
My cousin actually went down to Mexico to learn how to build earth ships. And
Okay.
then of course we have our yurt, but I love earth ships. Yeah, they're stunning. Yeah, and it depends like what materials you're using, and I love how they're built like
Exactly.
into earth. Like they're quite amazing.
So beautiful. And it's such a great way because you're using recycled, you know,
Yes,
things you'd throw away, and you're making
I
this
love it.
house that doesn't need air conditioning, it doesn't need heat. Like, that to me, that's futuristic,
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I
and
love it.
sustainable at once. So it's all about that. And I'm really excited to bring forward the Starseed Visionaries, our A team.
Mhm. Yes.
Come on over. Let's hear about your vision. We need you. We need you now more than ever. Like, we need hope, we
Mhm.
really do, because it's been really dark and depressing. And so I want to bring forward some hope about what's possible. If we can move into the realm of possibility, that's a good place to be.
Yes, absolutely. I believe that as well. And is there a third book that you wanted to mention, or is that
Yeah.
one still kind of okay? Yeah, go ahead.
So we have the cover for that. It's the same artist. I loved her work, and I purchased like a whole collection of her work, about 6 pieces. So
Oh wow.
that's the cover for Stories of the Goddess, and it's all
Mm.
about fireside stories about her and your
Oh
relationship with
wow.
her, and how you've connected with her. What are your rituals? What are your rites? How has she helped you through the darkest hour of your life? How has she helped you to the light? How she helped you creatively. What does your relationship look like? Because every woman that has a relationship with a goddess, it's so personal and unique and intimate to
Mm.
her. And I wanted to create a book about different women from all over the world and their relationship with a goddess, because it helps us to understand her more, and how we can open up to have a deeper relationship with her too.
Yes, beautiful. Well, I love the diversity. Like I really I really do. It's so diverse, and but at the same time it's like you're really speaking to like the unique medicine of what wants to be present within the, even within the person and within the book.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's amazing. Is there any kind of like last bits of wisdom, or just any last thing you might want to share with our listeners? And then, yeah, and then just where we can find more of you.
Absolutely. What I would just like to say to you that's listening is, if you're listening to Tara and she's incredible and magical, then you already have something to offer, because you're already tuned into that frequency, you
Mhm.
know, you're tuned into that frequency, and she's all about blooming and awakening and opening, and that's also what we're doing with the book. So if you
Mhm.
have something that in your heart, like, I do have something I want to share, and I'm not sure if I'm ready. Well, I would say take life now and run with it.
Mm,
Take this moment. Like, we
yeah,
shouldn't keep waiting for another day. We shouldn't keep waiting.
exactly. Yes.
Life is happening right now, and
Mhm.
you have to hone in and focus on what you want to manifest in your life, because
Mhm.
the chaos will continue. It's going to go
Mhm.
on, and you got to
Mhm.
focus on, what can you bring to the table.
Yeah.
What's your unique gift. And
Mhm.
if you've ever done like an Akashic reading with Tara,
Mhm.
she shows you what your gifts are and what
Mhm.
your soul purpose is. And so it's so important to really manifest that. That's why we're souls, spirits in bodies. We're
Mhm.
embodied, and we have to embody that. We have to manifest that into the world in a way that makes our spirit happy.
Yeah. Yes. Oh, I love that. I love all of that. I love, like, taking the time to cultivate what we want, what our vision is, and that there is a lot of distraction right now, but really, I feel that too. It's so important to just stay in our vision, to stay
Hmm.
in our medicine. And this is what a beautiful opportunity to be a part of something so powerful that really can support that. So
Thank
thank you
you.
so much, Radha. Why don't you, yeah, where can they connect with you?
So you can find me at radhapublishing.com, radhapublishinghouse.com, but you can also reach out to Tara and she can direct you to me. So
Yes, absolutely. That's right. Tara at tarapreston.com.
yeah,
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much, Radha. It was an absolute pleasure, as always, to connect. And I thank you so much for being here.
thank you.
And thank you to all of the listeners of the She Rose Revolutionary podcast. We will talk to you very soon.
Thank you so much for joining us this week on She Rose Revolutionaries podcast. We look forward to having you back again. Reach out, share your comments at tarapreston.com, or join us in the She Rose Revolutionaries Facebook group. talk soon.